Now the painting is completely dry with a medium detail brush, a mixture of burnt umber and country olive. Start to paint in some of these trees at the edge. They go right the way up, out of the top of the painting. Slightly darker mix, put the darker colour down one side of the tree for the shading. As we move further into the wood, I'm going to add a touch of blue. This is the half rigger. Very lightly paint in a couple of these trees right at the back of the wood. Then go back to that stronger mix of country olive and burnt umber. They can overlap those trees in the background. Next we're going to paint in the large tree in the foreground. So mix the colours fairly thickly. This is burnt umber and country olive. Put the paint on quickly. Don't want this to dry. Down to the base of the tree, branch going out. And while it's wet, get a card, a plastic card, and scrape the paint off the surface of the paper. You get a texture of the paper onto the tree. Go back to the medium detail brush, same colour, and reapply the shading down the left-hand side of the tree. And just let that dry off. The next stage is the water. I'm going to use this 3/4 inch brush, which is made from synthetic mongoose. This is actually called mock mongoose. I'm going to use some cobalt blue, a touch of sunlit green. Drag that colour down into the wet. So just put a touch of the yellow. This colour is reflected into the water. Up to the bridge. Paint over the masked area. That's the whole idea of masking fluid, is so you can paint over the top. It won't go onto the paper. Touch more blue. Bring that down out of the bottom of the painting. Just drag the colour down like so. A bit more colour into the centre of the stream. Touch more of that green, so that's sunlit with cobalt blue. Bit darker along the water's edge. And with the flat of the brush, just put a few ripples in like that. Wash the brush out, squeeze the water out of the brush, and lift off a few ripples right at the bottom in the water there. Then we let the water dry. Next we're going to paint in the reflections. I'm going to use the medium detail brush and some cobalt blue, a touch of green, not too strong. An easy way of working out where the reflections go, if you hold your brush like that, so that leans over, so the reflection is going to lean back in the opposite direction. And it just comes through here, and then just fade it into the wet, and then this other tree here will come down through and just appear in the water there. Moving to the bridge. So country olive and burnt umber. Still a touch of blue. So that comes right the way up to the water's edge. Same colour for this tree here, so that comes down into the water there. Similar colour for these trees next to it. So line them up. And the two on the far right paint those in. And finally this little group of trees in the centre, which is more of a bluey green. And then these branches here lean into the painting like that. Along the water's edge, just make that a little bit darker, a hint of some reflections. Then let that dry.